Industries Production and Personnel in Coordination, Ministry of Defense. I also welcome all the eminent speakers, Commodore Siddharth Misra, former CMD, Bharat Dynamics Limited, Dr. Mayank Dwivedi, Director, Directorate of Industry Interface and Technology Management, DRDO Headquarters, Dr. S.C. Kansal, Co-Chairman, ASSOCHAM National Council on Aerospace and Defense and Chairman, SMPP Private Limited, Colonel K.B. Kuber, Senior Member, ASSOCHAM National Council on Aerospace and Defense and Director, Aerospace and Defense EY, Mr. Vikas Balani, Assistant General Manager, SIDBI, Madam Asimta Sethi, President and Country Head, Pratt and Whitney, Mr. D.R. Subramaniam, Managing Director, SLN Technologies, Mr. Partha P. Roy Chaudhary, Commercial Lead, India, Lockheed Martin Corporation, Mr. Ashok Vadhavan, Head Land Systems, Defense and Aerospace, Adani Defense, Captain Vikram Mahajan, Retired Director, Aerospace and Defense, US-India Strategic Partnership Forum. So a very, very warm welcome to everyone. And before we move on, I would request ASSOCHAM IT team to please play the video. Thank you, SHM IT team. And it was indeed a very, very encouraging video which has been prepared by Ministry of Defense. Thanks so much for them all preparing such a nice video, and we all are prepared to participate in the forthcoming DefExpo in Ahmedabad. And we have been informed by the Defense Ministry that Mr. Anurag Bajpayee will be joining anytime, but we can start the discussions. And to move on, I request Colonel K.B. Kuber, a member of the National Council of SHM and Director AY, to kindly moderate the session now.
Thank you, Mr. Rajora. So we are back again with the pre-DefExpo seminars, and today we're going to discuss Industry 4.0. I want to express my sincere gratitude and thanks to Rolls-Royce, to Mr. K.P. Puri, who is the former chairman, former MD of HAL Nasik, and Mr. Anirban Chatterjee, Anirban Mukherjee, who was a senior executive director in EY, for compiling certain notes on 4.0, because EY has got a very strong team which actually focuses on process improvement and how they can sort of help companies implement 4.0. So the question is, what is this 4.0 and why are we discussing it today? So 4.0 is all about data. It's all about using data to get to a better product. It's about increasing the efficiencies in the system. It's about increasing the downtime. It's about reducing the mean time between failures and the mean time to, and increasing the mean time to repair MTTR. So it's about making everything more efficient. And how do they do it? They have got what is called as the internet, industrial internet of things, the cyber security and cyber physical systems, smart manufacture, cloud computing, cognitive computing, artificial intelligence, VR. So, full realization of smart computing demands connectivity, and that's what is making it pretty smart. There is a lot of AI and machine learning. The machine learns a lot. The machine accumulates data. The machine passes the data from one to another. And then there is edge computing which is data analytics, which is done at the edge, and that is where the data is created to minimize the latency time. Then cybersecurity, which is one of the biggest threats today, and then of course there is the digital twin technologies. And digital twin actually helps you to have a twin in your own system while you have delivered the product out there, and how you can actually use the digital twin to increase the productivity, improve workflows, design new products. So it's all about, we are talking of a whole new set of things that that actually Internet of Things brings about. So we have, for example, Airbus, which conducted various simulation sessions on the A350 for the new design and the advanced materials that they used. Boeing launched the analytics, which it provides data analytic tools. And then you have Raytheon, which is focusing on delivering improved customer satisfaction using process architecture. Then there is a lot of, using digital technologies. They get a lot of feedback in the development cycle. Case in point is the Thales digital factory, which is actually developing innovative products based on key digital technologies such as big data, AI, IoT. And of course, Lockheed Martin is using the data from connected systems to create and replicate components, products, and programs. And so there is a lot of things that's happening out there. Rolls-Royce, for example, has focused on electrification and digitization, and their digital teams in India and globally are in the forefront of driving this digital first culture at Rolls-Royce. They've got a digital academy. Their data experts analyze billions of data points per flight. The current generations of aircraft sort of collect something like 10,000 times more data than in the 1990s. The pioneering industrial service of Rolls-Royce, about $3.5 billion revenue. And so there's so many things out there. There is Rolls-Royce, as for example, has a strategic partnership with Infosys to digitally transform its aerospace engineering operations in India. It's also working with the Nanyang Technological University to develop digital solutions using AI, including new virtual engine emulator that uses AI to analyze decades of engine design data. At the joint venture with HAL, for example, Rolls-Royce uses, they started implementing the digitally empowered manufacturing execution system, MES. So there are a few questions, and I'm sure we have Ashmita also, who's going to talk to us a lot about how Pratt & Whitney does the same thing. We've got Partha, who's going to tell us more about Lockheed. We have got Indian companies like SLN Technology, who's going to tell us how Indian companies are doing. And I'm going to talk about an Indian company before I come there. So there is this Best Cookie, and I want to express my gratitude again to Best Cookie. I visited them. It is it's a company that is that has actually integrated 4.0 into their manufacturing process, and they say that it is what marries advanced manufacturing techniques with IoT. And they have many intelligent machines with them. Almost 90% of them are automated, and they began with what is called as an EOL, end of line is one of them. And the final inspection machine, this is the end of line machine, is the final inspection one, which does the inspection of the product. They've got 27 EOLs for various production lines, and all of them are manufactured by their sister company, BS Technology. And what are the benefits? Data backup on server, authenticated access, interruption-free backup, virus-free UL system. So I visited Best Cookie. It's one of the very good units just around here in Gurgaon, little ahead of Gurgaon. So I have a few questions which I hope the panelists will keep in mind. Is 4.0 more relevant to the process industry, or is it only for the manufacturing industry? With a good IT industry that we have, which is doing pretty well, is India as a country better chance to migrate to 4.0? For an industry to transform from the erstwhile standards to 4.0, are there service providers who could help us do this? What are the basic advantages of 4.0? I've listed some. Has companies like RR have benefited a lot in terms of even saving millions of dollars, and so therefore can we focus on what is the cost benefit analysis for using 4.0, and what are the saved costs? Is there any empirical and physical evidence to prove that it increased profitability, efficiency, and higher management? Has it affected reduction in manpower? Consequently, has the employment rate gone down, or is it vice versa, or is it same? Is it more suitable for a high volume production like auto industry, or is it more suitable for defense, or it is the same, or aerospace and defense should adopt? How is the global industry adjusting to this? And what is the situation in the Indian industry today? And for an industry to transform, what will the service providers do? And is it really relevant to us in the aerospace and defense? And therefore, what could be the recommendations? Should the DAP, for example, mandate that you should have 4.0? So with all this, there are so many questions out there. I think while Mr. Bajpai will join us in a moment, I have the pleasure to call up Mr. Vikas Balani, who's Assistant General Manager, Direct Credit Vertical in the SIDBI. Mr. Balani, all yours. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I see Mr. Bajpai joined us just now. Mr. Balani, if you can kindly wait, because the Joint Secretary has a Parliament question to attend, and he's got urgent work. So I think without wasting time, I would like to call up Mr. Anurag Bajpai, who has enlightened us before, to talk today about 4.0. Joint Secretary, sir, all yours.
Thank you, Mr. Kuber. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. You are audible. Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is really nice to be with you all today. Of course, since morning I am attending all meetings only, and now I am going to Parliament after 10 minutes or so. After this, I'll go to Parliament. I'll rush to Parliament. Actually, in the morning, I thought I will not be in position to attend seeing the entire schedule today, but anyhow, I could get time. Today's theme is actually very relevant because it addresses gaps in defense production, and then it talks about Industry 4 and etc. We all know what is the commitment of Government of India. That is to achieve a higher level of indigenization, annual turnover to the tune of $25 billion by 2024-25, exports to the tune of $5 billion, and import substitution. Means that the entire focus of Government of India is on domestic defense manufacturing ecosystem. I would like to invite the attention of the August gathering today to the announcement made by the Honorable Finance Minister in the recent budget. It is for the first time that, the allocation for domestic procurement is in the budget this time. And 68%. Last year it was 64%. Now it is continuously rising. If we see in the last 3-4 years, the government has done tremendously in promoting the domestic industries and ensuring domestic manufacturing by allocating the budget. Though it is 68%, but if you see the government intention to substitute the import altogether, it means it is likely to rise further. The other announcement, if we see, that is the industry-led R&D. And the 25% of defense R&D budget earmarked for this, for the coming financial year. That is a tremendous effort of Government of India, or tremendous commitment of Government of India. And the focus is now on industry-led research and development. Perhaps that was the need of the hour. Of course, the further mechanism and further details will be brought out by the Ministry of Defense after some time. But the intention is very clear. The third part, if we see in case of industry, that is the constitution, that the proposal for constitution of nodal umbrella body for testing and certification requirement. That was a long pending the industry's demand. And certainly it is likely to bring a complete change. It is likely to bring a paradigm shift in the testing regime. So from the budget, if we see, the budget announcement, if we see, the intentions have been made very clear by the Government of India, that how the Indian's defense ecosystem is going to look like. We know Industry 4 is revolutionary. It is a kind of a revolution when it was brought, and how the companies manufacture, control product quality, and maintain supply chain as per the Industry 4. And it is to be adopted by the other industries. Internet of Things, cloud computing, additive manufacturing, artificial intelligence, machine learning. There are so many things which are actually driving technologies for the Industry 4. We know when we have to compete, it is quality. The quality of products as per standards, certainly this is one of the most important requirements in defense sector. Because the products are of complex nature, high-end technology is there, and specific use is also there. Simulation is also the need of the hour. for designing, trial, or testing of weapon system. We all know that additive manufacturing can be used for part manufacturing with a special focus on quality. Thus, use of Industry 4 tools can help in achieving better tolerance in manufacturing of defense product with the use of automation. Defense industry, including our defense public sector undertakings, I believe that all are implementing Industry 4 in TOT-based process automation, monitoring, control, designing, processing, quality control, predictive analysis, so on. I have been informed that Bell has printed more than 1,500 parts in 2021-22 alone at minimal lead time to be more competitive in the current market by use of additive manufacturing technology. Midhani is also working in the field of additive manufacturing, especially to improve availability of raw material, metal powders. I am sure that private industry must be active in adopting Industry 4 processes or protocol. If we recall that Honorable Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh has also laid foundation for Defense Technology and Test Center in Lucknow, in Uttar Pradesh Defense Corridor in December 2021. It is the first of its kind Defense Technology and Test Center which has been set up to accelerate growth of the defense and aerospace manufacturing clusters in Uttar Pradesh Defense Industrial Corridor. It will provide the technological base to develop defense products, keeping in mind the young innovators and startups. What I have been told that it will consist 6 sub-centers, and I hope that it is going to benefit the industry. That is Deep Tech Innovation and Startup Incubation Center, Design and Simulation Center, Testing and Evaluation Center, Center for Industry 4, Digital Manufacturing, Skill Development Center, and Business Development Center. You all are aware about the draft Defense Production and Export Promotion Policy 2022, which has been positioned as Ministry's overarching guiding document to provide a focused, structured, and significant thrust to defense production capabilities of the country. And no doubt it is for self-reliance and exports only, which is ultimately going to affect our industrial ecosystem. And one of the important objectives of this policy is to create an environment that encourages research and development, rewards innovation, creates Indian IP ownership, and promotes a robust and self-reliant defense industry. We all know about the achievements of IDEX. About 89 challenges have been under treatment at present. 63 startups are already working, 63 contracts were signed. And I am happy to inform that in last 2 years, or with the efforts of last 2 years, about 9 products now have reached to the stage of testing and trial. And 1 contract for procurement has already been signed by Indian Navy. So the results are now coming with the efforts which we have started basically 2 years back, and now we are continuing with them to a next. We are trying to reach to the next level. There is another program of Government of India, that is Samarth Udyog Bharat. I hope that many of us will maybe knowing. It is an Industry 4 initiative of Ministry of Heavy Industries and Public Enterprises. It encompasses manufacturers, vendors, and customers as the main stakeholders. The experiential and demonstration centers for Industry 4 have been proposed to spread awareness about it amongst the Indian manufacturing industries. These centers would have resource sharing, common platform for Industry 4, and network each other's resources so that utilization of resources is maximized. So there are many, actions or reforms or budgetary, actions towards the budgetary support. Many actions are being taken up by Government of India. And that shows the intention along with commitment. Because it is not just words, the actions are also are visible for the industry. So I believe that all these actions would help our industrial ecosystem to grow, and India will be in position to achieve the goals which we have visualized 2-3 years back of indigenization and make in India, import substitution, like that. But this is not the end. These are the starting actions. We are looking for now, India is looking for 2047. And in defense sector, 10 years period is not a very long period, we know, particularly when we consider research and development. So looking for 2047 is certainly a great idea, because it gives you a proper space how our defense ecosystem would look like after some time. And the actions or the proposals which have been taken up by the Government of India are in those directions. With these words, I am really thankful to all for patient hearing, and I congratulate the organizers that they have given me the time and they have brought this theme for discussion. I hope that many good recommendations will come after the successful, completion of the webinar, this webinar. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir, for that wonderful opening remarks and the keynote address, in which you actually talked about actually 68% of the budget, the capital budget, is allocated for the domestic defense industry, and therefore, as a corollary, we draw that there is a huge responsibility that's being placed on the domestic industry to actually deliver, because at the end of the day, we want to talk about the capability of the Indian Armed Forces, and that cannot be denuded at any time. And therefore, it's more relevant today that Indian industry adopts to global standards of manufacturing, and I think that is what we are looking at this point in time. While you did talk about the public sector, I must tell you, so the private sector is equally fast and equally adaptive. I actually visited a company called Best Koki, which is on the outskirts of Gurgaon. It has adopted in Industry 4.0, and actually not just adopted, they have also shown profits, and they have shown value to their customers as to how they can do the entire mechanization, and using these cyber physical systems, using the end of line technologies, and how they actually come and deliver first time right. And L&T does that first time right. Adani Group does that first time right. So today we've got a number of companies out here which are actually doing this, and I think that's a very good thing. You talked about the simulation and trial, simulation oriented trials, and I think we are looking at all this. So while you talked about AI and ML, I just wanted to pick up a data point which I found in one of the reports of Accenture, which said that AI has a potential to add something like $957 billion to India's economy in 2035. We are talking of 2047. By 2035, this is the ad that AI itself is going to do. And AI ML have combined capability to analyze big data, spot patterns, get insights, help make smart data's drive decisions in real time. And I think we are in good times with the initiatives taken by the government. And so thank you very much. So Dr. Kansal, would you like to propose a vote of thanks to Mr. Vajpayee, because he will be leaving us now, going to the parliament?
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, everybody. Let me cut short first. Let me first give my heartily thanks to Shri Anurag Vajpayee ji, Joint Secretary, MOD. So your remarks are encouraging, though things are known to, but you are revived and you are told in a very nice way all those targets of the government. Unless anybody has the target, that the target, the output is not achieved. Is the target for the marriage date? You work hard and you achieve that day. So you win the target. You're told the target of $25 billion by 2025, $5 billion for exports, defense exports for today. It is a good driving force for the Indian industry. 68% capital budget, sir. It is no doubt it is there. Then, of course, the government has done that 550 licenses the government of India issued. This is also under your supervision, sir. I have seen you. I have attended meetings also. You are giving, recommending the licenses to Indian private industry. You have been involved, sir. UP corridor, dragging people and encouraging and promising a lot of things for Indian industry to come to the UP corridors. It is under your purview, sir, under your leadership, the Indian industry is definitely getting attracted. We thank you so much for coming over here to this and delivering good news and encouraging the people over there for the private industry. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for that thing. And ladies and gentlemen, sorry for the little interruption because the Joint Secretary has to go to the Parliament. That's why. So we have Mr. Vikas Balani, Assistant General Manager, who's almost about started his presentation. Vikas, all yours.
Respected panel and dear participants, it has been pleasure to attend this webinar organized by ASSOCHAM, and it's always pleasure to hear to Mr. Vajpayee. Government has opened up the aerospace and defense space in India for all the industries, and this is the opportune time where we actually have the opportunity to bring India on the forefront in terms of defense production as well. As we are emphasizing upon the production 4.0, industry 4.0, where technology has enabled so many new interventions which can increase the efficiency manifold in terms of defense production as well. The era has been of startups. Last decade has seen tremendous growth and real performance by the startups, where we have seen 90 unicorns coming into the India, so much of investments going into the startups, so many fintechs coming in the sphere. All these kind of technology initiatives and these kind of new things, they can add and increase the efficiency of the manufacturing. And definitely if we support them at the right stage, they can really bring not only the cost competitiveness, but also quality and world-class production in India. So all this, where government is striving hard, coming up with the great initiatives like Defense Expo for last various years. Again, this year in March, we are going to hold it in Gujarat. So there is really, we hope that sincerely all focus of the even not only the large industries, but also MSMEs will also be there. SIDBI is, I come from SIDBI. I'm sharing my screen with all of you.
You have 3 minutes, Mr. Vikas.
Yes, that's good enough, sir. So basically, SIDBI is a principal financial institution in India for MSMEs. So basically, not only the financing role, but also supporting them by way of various promotional and developmental initiatives, providing various funds support to various new ventures coming into the country, and various programs of the Government of India we are also conducting as nodal agencies. In 2020 itself, to complement the efforts of the Government of India, SIDBI came up with a detailed plan for aerospace and defense sector, and we have partnered with various consultancy firms where we have come up that we would be having a total bouquet of things for this kind of defense production and defense sector. So we are conducting with our partner institutions various outreach events along with various industry associations across the country, and in that we are seeking feedback what we can do for the sector as a whole, what new financial and credit products can be developed for the sector, how we can give them hand holdings, how we can bring DPSUs, OEMs, and smaller MSMEs and mid-sized MSMEs together on the same board. So these kind of things, also providing the various knowledge inputs, knowledge material, industry insight, this kind of A&D tailor-made solutions, that whole bouquet we have been working upon, and we have already touched upon at 20 major clusters all across India by various outreach events till now, and we would be doing more. A detailed web portal which was under development that would also be launched very soon within this month itself, where MSMEs can showcase their capabilities and products to DPSUs and OEMs who are into defense production as their tier 2 and tier 3 vendors. And this portal is the kind of a place where they can all come together. Whatever capabilities MSMEs have, they would be having an option to prepare a readiness assessment for their firm itself. There they can put and assess themselves across various parameters, which would be reflecting a rating to the industry, which would be available to various DPSUs and OEMs, and they can later on contact them for various interventions, various products and offerings which are available with them. So this portal will not only be a kind of connector with them, but industry landscape reports, various kind of special interventions by different armed forces, all three parts, Navy, Army, and Air Force. Those kind of updates and updates of various tenders being published by all those organizations would also be available on the website. We have two specific products which cater to the needs of these kind of units. One is Arise for the established units already in operations, where rates of interest have been so competitive that they are even less than the rates of housing loans. So rates are starting from 5.5% to 6.8% maximum. And these loans would be ranging to a quantum of up to 10 crore rupees. Similarly, for greenfield projects, we have a loan quantum of up to 20 crore rupees for MSMEs, where interest rates are again starting from 6% to 7.3% only. So these are the main main products which are totally dedicated to defense and aerospace, Arise and Sthapan. More details can be seen at our website. These are the coordinates where we can be reached for any further details in the matter. The finance being the cog in the wheel of economic activities. So obviously we have today's webinar after Vajpayee's address has started with this. So we hope that whatever best we could do for the MSMEs and other industries in the country, we would be doing on the behalf of SIDBI, and you are all welcome to contact us and give us whatever kind of suggestion and recommendations you are having. You can take a snapshot of these coordinates and can anytime get back to us. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Mr. Vikas. You just sort of made it before the siren went off. So that's very nice of you. Thank you so much. The suggestion, if I have one, is that if an industry wants to migrate to 4.0, for example, will you further reduce another 2% and give them a loan? That's the question, and that is probably a suggestion. You can take it forward, because if India has to progress, companies like you have to reduce their profits towards the betterment of India and give them softer loans. Thank you very much. And we have Ashmita Sethi, the president and country head, Pratt & Whitney, and she's going to tell us how global engine manufacturers take 4.0 so seriously, how they collect data, how they analyze it, and how their engines keep running at any cost. Ashmita, all yours.
Thank you so much, Colonel Kuber. I'm very honored to be here today to discuss this huge leap forward in manufacturing technology that the world is witnessing. My predecessors spoke about that just now. So I won't talk in detail about that, but just say we are in a world where we need to navigate this new world. And this leap in technology, again, is part of this new world. How do we implement Industry 4.0 in India? And I also want to talk a little bit about how our potential suppliers to companies like Pratt & Whitney and other OEMs as part of the Indian industry need to know about Industry 4.0. At Pratt & Whitney, we design, build, and service jet engines that power nearly 30% of the world's passenger aircraft. 34 armed forces around the world use our military engines. Now, jet engines are among the most complicated machines built by man. The environment inside an engine is so hot that parts operate at temperatures much higher than the melting point of the alloys the parts are made of. When an engine operates, the space between rotating and stationary parts can sometimes be less than a hair's width. Each engine has thousands of moving pieces, and they must all work seamlessly together on every engine every time. Manufacturing these technological marvels on time and on budget and high quality is a huge responsibility that only a few companies can do well. Our 95 years of experience developing these engines based on advancing customer demands. Customers want more for less, as all of you know. Customer demands for power, for range, have resulted in some marquee products of today, including the 135 engine that powers the Lightning II Joint Strike Fighter. And then on the commercial side, our fuel-efficient geared turbofan for a commercial aviation aircraft. We use an extensive network of partners and suppliers who design and build components and parts for these products, and we work relentlessly with them to ensure that they are structured to meet our stringent safety, quality, schedules, and cost requirements. This presents a huge opportunity for the Indian aerospace defense industry to ramp up into production of more complex parts in what we call advanced manufacturing. For new companies who wish to join our supplier network, as well as our long-term suppliers, there's a revolution taking place in advanced manufacturing under the concept of Factory 4.0 or Industry 4.0. For Pratt & Whitney, Industry 4.0 is about smart manufacturing, automation, robotics, virtual reality, additive manufacturing, etc., enabled by digital technologies like IoT, model-based design, manufacture and inspection, and connected devices. Success in Factory 4.0 requires both, connected factories and the digital thread, which sort of enables that through the life cycle of the product, and model-based manufacturing. In model-based manufacturing and engineering, processes are designed in a very collaborative 3D environment. Process decisions, Colonel Kuber, you were talking about process industry also. And here I come to it. Process decisions are based on demonstrated capability using predictive tools like statistics or physics-based modeling. You're not hitting in the blind, you're not looking at something, you're not starting something from scratch. You already have templates on which you work, and those templates have demonstrated that capability beforehand. Then the capability of the manufacturing system is matched to the outputs requiring standard production system controls. Industry 4.0 means moving away from the previous two-dimensional drawing-based schematics to model-based design and engineering, whereby cost, quality, competitiveness is improved greatly. Rework and lead times are reduced and perfect clarity provided to all suppliers on design parameters. So connected factories drive speed, quality, and optimized cost, to say the least. At Pratt & Whitney, we have connected nearly 2,000 machines across our global enterprises, and we aim to connect over 5,000 total machines. This will enable real-time machine state monitoring, better data analytics, and improved overall product performance and efficiency. Every step of this manufacturing process can be automated. That can be automated is now being transformed, providing improved safety and more consistent quality as well, and just-in-time inventory management and lower overall production cost. Separately, we have a core excellence operating system, which the acronym means Customer-Oriented Results and Excellence Operating System. So customer is the ultimate. The customer is looking for more efficiency, better cost, better performance. So our goal is to drive industry-leading operations performance, build on foundation of common language, common processes, and common tools. Prior to industrial revolutions such as coal, iron, electricity, oil, etc., computers brought about incredible disruption and step change disruption in productivity. With Industry 4.0, the most adaptable companies will thrive, and those organizations that have a culture of resilience and empowerment to absorb these systems and these processes will propel their business forward. And for India, I think we forecast a very strong ramp of production in all segments of our business, and there remains a great opportunity for all Indian manufacturing and engineering companies to join us in this very bright future. We intend to harness more and more of the talent and capability in India, much more than what we are doing now, growing our business while investing in local and the national economy in our efforts as we do that. Happy to take any questions later on.
Thank you so much, Ashmita, for that. From 2,000 to 5,000, you're going, connecting all the 5,000 machines. And when you spoke about the temperatures in the engine, which is beyond the melting point of alloys, I only can, I remembered Ajit, and I said maybe we can give him a dialogue. Robert, isko Pratt & Whitney ke engine mein dal do. Melt ho jayega, something like that. So I think that's great when you connect about 5,000 odd engines and what type of revenues you can actually bring in. In fact, I was seeing that the industrial data services data, which was spinning something like 3.5 billion pounds per annum for Rolls-Royce. I can speak because I read their whole report to understand this per annum, not only at Rolls-Royce, but even the customers benefited from the adoption of 4.0. And similarly for Best Koki, a company that I actually visited. I don't know if Group Captain PV Singh is here. He actually conducted us through and see with a small company like Besco, it's not a very big company, it's a very small company, and they have adopted that, and today they are talking about real good value that they are able to bring. So today we have small companies. You talked about your ecosystem, and you said your supplier network, and there are companies out here which are in electronic systems design and manufacturing, specializing in strategic electronics, serving the aerospace, defense, and nuclear for more than 25 years. I'm talking about SLN Technologies. And they have products like the avionics system, solid state flight data recorders, standby engine system display, which are all today flying, and automated test equipments, antenna controls, electronic products, antenna controls, servo mechanism, and see, they are built for Arjun, they are built for Sukhoi, they are built for Mi-17, they are built for LCA, LUH, LH. So I think a very good company out there, SLN. I've actually visited them about 3-4 years ago. And in those days, probably I used to visit them very, very often, just to understand as to what ethos a small company like SLN can have. They have received the National Award for R&D twice from the Government of India, the MSME department, and Dr. Subramaniam, who's here, who's the managing director, the co-founder and the MD at SLN. And he believes that it is all about indigenous design, development, and manufacture. And he's been the chairman of the Empowered Committee of SME in CIT, vice chairman of the Aeronautical Society of India, Bangalore, elected member of the CII Karnataka State Council, director of aerospace. And well, there are a number of awards: Lifetime Achievement Award from CIT, Udyog Patra Award, and Friend of Mission Reach from the Department of Science and Technology. An engineer, Subramaniam, all yours.
Thank you so much, Colonel Kuber sir, and good afternoon, the panelists and participants. Implementation of Industry 4.0 in MSME sector itself is a big subject. Implementation is slow, as all of you know, in MSME, as it requires technology upgradation, which itself is a big challenge, which opens up a larger discussion. We need to sort out many ground level issues. Industry 4.0 need not be, of course, it is digital technology and all that, but to also meet that kind of technology level, our business practices also need to get upgraded. I just take a few pointers from Mr. Anurag Bajpai JS in his keynote address. He mentioned strong domestic defense ecosystem, industry-led R&D, exports of $5 billion USD, testing and certification, and quality. Even in the previous thing also, I spoke about R&D, innovation, and product development. I had mentioned Indian industry, particularly MSME, is capable. They have upgraded their skills, they have upgraded their infrastructure, but still many times the companies, customers are using them only to build to print jobs. They have to believe and offload more and more build to specification and software development, product development, this kind of jobs. More collaboration is required from DRDO, CSIR, and all these government R&D labs to mentor MSME companies to lift their capabilities to global levels, and the technology upgradation. The country's R&D spend itself, if you see, is very less. Our R&D spend is less than 1%, maybe 0.7, 0.8% of GDP, whereas many countries are going over 3%, 2.5 to 3.5%. It's a very, very large, vast difference. And this needs very clear focus. And second thing, the business volume, if you say, okay, 68% we have increased, but finally, how much of it is coming to MSMEs? Today, we are talking about the Canadian defense industry, MSMEs share is 92%, US MSME share is 64%. Where do we stand? With a lot of difficulty, we are meeting 20-25%. I think we need to increase the outsourcing to MSMEs up to 40%. That is the only way MSMEs can bring in more Industry 4.0 investments and move towards that. Today, the situation is the number of companies are more, capabilities are more, the amount of business is less. For the survival sake, they are killing themselves by underquoting very, very low values. If you take up, there are a lot of delays in Indian execution. Execution is a big problem. Okay, added to that recently, global semiconductor shortages. The components what we used to get in 4 weeks, 8 weeks, today we have to wait up to 52 weeks, 60 weeks. It has become a big problem. In such a situation, if we see our in defense and aerospace, the inspection, third-party inspection, certification, approvals is a major thing. Process and product inspection approvals are adding very, very high delays. Agencies like DJKA, they always say they have less manpower and the industry have to wait for them. We actually propose accreditation of private inspection agencies so that cycle times will be dramatically improved, and later maybe parallelly we can work on self-certification and other things. The biggest problem here is certification and inspection agencies are outside delivery loop. They just don't care about your delivery, and vendor has to depend on so many agencies, and finally only vendor is responsible for delivery. Clear policy is required also for obsolescence management. Most of the products are designed earlier, they come for build to print. We get stuck in obsolescence management. There is no policy and we invest money and we just wait for the clearances. So MSME discussion cannot end without touching upon the financial issues. As all of you know, due to long cycles of order placing by DPSUs and services, the material costs are going up very, very high. Customers does not entertain any price escalations. There should be a mechanism, because we take quotations and quote, and 6 months, 8 months, the order will come. The market prices have gone up by 10-20%, and it is meaningless to execute such orders. There should be some policy to accommodate such changes. I mentioned so many delays. Most of it is attributed to inspections and certifications. What is the meaning for LD? We practically end up paying LD in every case. I think either we must abolish LD or we must bring it down to 2%. Post-pandemic, all foreign suppliers are demanding 100% advance along with the purchase order. Even though 24 weeks, 48 weeks, 50 weeks lead time, they are insisting on 100% advance, whereas our customers are not prepared. We are still talking about 45 days after supply, after acceptance, 45 days. I think this industry cannot sustain with this. Our customers also must pay at least 30% advance mandatorily, and they must bring down the 45 days cycle. When the 45 days cycle was implemented, there was no pandemic, there was no global crisis, no semiconductor shortage and all that. Today we cannot stick to that, and we must bring down within 2 weeks max. All payments must be cleared, sir. And Mr. Vajpayee mentioned about exports, which is very important, obviously. But to export, the companies have to be nurtured for global level. But in the interest of following the process, we go on repeatedly tendering the same item again and again. There is no opportunity for companies to get sufficient expertise to go global. I think we have to adopt mentor system. We have to mentor companies. The PSUs and large companies have to mentor MSME so that their skills and their capabilities are brought to global level. Automatically, the $5 billion exports will become reality. There are many more other things like skills and other things which requires more time. I'll stop here. If any questions are there, I will take. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Subramaniam. Actually, when we allow any SME to speak, and especially when SME starts speaking, I actually start looking for my handkerchief. Tears come out of my eyes when you say that, you're prepared to pay 100% on that side to your suppliers who are supplying you material, and you're very happy with somebody giving you even a 30%. Of course, they are hardly giving you even a 5% today. But even when you're asking only for 30%. That's a very large half. And I think in place, I would say at least 80% advance to MSMEs should be given. Why not? All these big companies make huge profits, and the minimum they can do is to give a good advance to an MSME, a trusted MSME, which they have done the due diligence and all that. You have said that the outsourcing should be 40%. If I were you, I would have asked for a higher number. But then that 40 number is very intriguing to me. So when you say 40%, how many MSMEs have gone to, if I put a decimal in between, 4.0? So then that question comes up, and we do not know. When we actually go down to that figure, we find that maybe it's not so encouraging. And of course, companies are there which have gone there, and and then you talked about the waiting period of the components. You talked about accreditation. You talked about, I think there is a lot going on there. And I think the government is already encouraging self-certification. They've already they're going ahead with the accreditation, third-party inspections, and so on. They're trying to get DGQA out of the loop as much as they can, and I think that's very encouraging. So I must say that, when you say you have to pay LD in almost every case, I'm surprised. When these big companies do not pay LD, why do they charge LD on you? So well, there's a lot to learn from that, and thank you very much. And here, ladies and gentlemen, I have to turn to another ex-NDA. I think every time we have an ex-NDA who's coming from somewhere here and there, and another ex-NDA like me. But unlike me, he's got his higher education. He's done his economics major from US. He is a person who talks about innovative funding systems. He thinks about how you can generate funds in a fund-strapped industry like this, or in a fund-strapped economy. And he is presently the commercial lead, rightly so, because he has some innovative ideas over there. I have great pleasure in inviting my friend Partha Chaudhary. Partha Roy Chaudhary, all yours.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for that nice introduction. Let me just bring out some point here about the digital revolution and the industrial revolution we are talking about. So Industry 4.0 advancements are revolutionizing the whole manufacturing and production in many industries. But for defense system, manufacturing is just the beginning. So as Lockheed Martin accelerates in its ongoing transformation with cutting edge technologies and the new ways of working, it's looking at the bigger picture. So that to achieve this truly disruptive innovation, we have to think holistically about, I should say, the transformation. Above all, our customer mission matters most to all of us. The mission-driven transformation is not just an internal operation. It's a new way of innovation that will enable us to join the all domain operations and making our customer more capable. We heard our Honorable Joint Secretary, Department of Defense Production, about a holistic transformation strategy, and he's also challenging the industry to do the same. He's talking a lot about digital engineering, advanced software development, open system architectures. Lockheed Martin is aligning those priorities to accelerate our own transformation and support the mission. Let me talk about how we do our digital and model-based engineering. Building on a years long of transformation, Lockheed has revolutionized its approach to digital model-based engineering that ensures a system that fully supports the mission, making it easier for the conduct strategy engineering to trade off and manage some changes. We can call it a digital twins that create in detailed models as built-in system, use machine learning and data analytics. The word we call it as fly before you buy. So you're predicting practically the performance in the field, optimizing maintenance and streamlining the production. A very interesting series that I saw yesterday in Netflix was called A Good Doctor, where a small African boy is given a charitable organization brought him to a US hospital, and the doctors are thinking whether they can save him or not. They have a tough time seeing this a very small boy, and the heart is totally unrepairable. What they can do, so they uses a model, a digital model of his heart by AR VR, practices on that, sees the result, and then goes on the operation table. So I could really make that story, I should say, a learning lesson for all of us. Is the same way what we are trying to do today. It gives you a second chance, which is seldom possible in the normal world. So this kind of a multidiscipline integration, which enables a real-time analysis of multiple aspects of a system's performance, the aerodynamics, thermal properties, which right now Raytheon also mentioned. So those analyses used to occur one at a time, but today at a high performance computing system, they can run simultaneously to dramatically cut design the time. So these are the technological advancements that 4.0 has brought, and we are already using it in Lockheed. Some of our program integrates advanced computer-aided designs for product lifecycle management tools in aeronautics. This is to accelerate the design and enable greater use of robotics, 3D printing, automated quality inspections, and this is all because of the need of the customer that we have today. Mention not that we also transform our supply chain manufacturing design phases and also have a better output. An example of CH-53 helicopter program, which has embraced digital engineering. So the digital engineering, the designs based on 3D and are maintained through a manufacturing assembly process. We cut costs through it. Not only that, we improve quality and avoid costly rework. I was talking about the next generation software. We're transforming everything in a way to develop software tools and processes. This is not about only our tools and process. It's also about the culture and the training. Those are also has to be changed in a better way. An accelerated software development process is enabling rapid prototyping for newer capabilities. I just heard Midhani, somebody mentioned that Midhani is going ahead. So they are actually trying to make a metal powder. So why? They are actually completing the whole process of 3D printing right from the metal powder till the final product. And that will help a lot of engine manufacturing company to test and trial without setting up a huge assembly line and a huge cost. Lockheed Martin launched a program for nanosat designs to test a new software-defined architecture which will enable artificial intelligence, data analytics, cloud networking, and satellite communication in much better way. We have also developed a modular open system architecture for omnipresent connectivity. Just imagine one of those commercial technologies, 5G. Imagine a network which is 100 times the bandwidth and a fraction of delay of current cellular networks. That's the promise of 5G is for tactical forces. So we are trying to connect warfighters at the edge. It has always been a tough communication challenge. Tomorrow's 5G networks is promising to deliver a bandwidth, connectivity, and data at the edge. Important point here, which I like to bring here, is that according to the McKinsey survey, 130 firm representatives from various industries in China and Chinese manufacturing firms had great enthusiasm and expectation from Industry 4.0, but only 57% of the Chinese enterprises were fully prepared for the Industry 4.0. This global study showed that that is far lower from the United States, which is 71%, and Germany at 68%. So I was thinking of how much of our industry in India is actually ready for the Industry 4.0. The major reason of manufacturing firms may not understand the value of these technologies and actually seldomly using it in kind of isolative way. The vision of aiming with a mission-funded transformation is a decisive mission advantage for all of us in a joint all-domain operation, demanding a holistic view of the whole battle space. And this is not only a digital ready workforce, we are trying to accelerate our economy today through this Industry 4.0 and additive manufacturing. Thank you so much. Kuber, over to you.
Thank you, Partha. In fact, it was very interesting that you brought out, edge. You brought out that, the good doctor, and the accelerated prototyping. And I thought I should mention at this point in time that Lockheed Martin is actually using data from the connected systems to create, innovate, replicate components, products, and entire programs as part of a totally integrated system where data threads come together to form a digital tapestry. I talked about it in my initial remarks too. And this digital tapestry actually brings people, processes, and tools into a common information framework across the life cycle. And this type of a free flow of digital information eliminates manual transfer of data and the costly errors that go into it. And with digital tapestry, Lockheed's designs can be printed, form fit, and function, and checked before manufacturing, and helping the lowering the costs. And I must also tell you at this time that, since I did some little work with Rolls-Royce on this. So Rolls-Royce partnered with Metallization University of Nottingham and the Aerospace Technology Institute and developed Flare, which is a pair of snake robots. Like a snake, they'll go inside, which will aid in maintenance without removing the engine. The snake robots actually themselves are flexible enough to travel through an engine before working together to carry out patch repairs to the damaged thermal barrier coatings. Also, Rolls-Royce is working with Harvard to demonstrate potential future technology of collaborative swarm robots that crawl through the insides of an engine, each of them 10 millimeters in diameter, deposited at the center of an engine via a snake robot, and then perform visual inspection, hard to reach. And therefore, I think we are in very good times, Partha, when the good doctor. So if good doctor is a good story, and I think we are in those times where, when you talk of Indian industry and why Indian industry, whether it is ready, when you were wondering, I was wondering along with you. And I must tell you that when the government starts pumping in 1 lakh crores in terms of 68% of the domestic of the capital budget to domestic industry, well, I think the domestic industry will have no choice but to probably adapt to these standards. Otherwise, they will not be able to deliver it first time right, and therefore their costs will increase. Now, well, ladies and gentlemen, we are here with the new entrants in the aerospace and defense field. The Adani Group, they entered with a bang, and they have one of the smartest facilities set up in Hyderabad. They are doing the UAVs, they are exporting them today. And even while the Indian Armed Forces are not buying them, they are already sending it outside of the country. And on one side with that, on the other side with the pet project of Ashok Vadavan, who actually started this whole thing of PLR, and where he manufactures guns, small, big, everything, and ammunition. Is getting into ammunition now. And I think this 4.0 may be more useful to companies like yours. What say, Ashok?
Thank you, Colonel Kuber. Thank you always for a great introduction and leading the session so well. To our participants in the panel and friends, I come from Adani Group, and we've always pioneered in whatever we have done. We have tried to be ahead in the game in our field. So when we take into manufacturing or defense and aerospace, we are looking in best-in-class advanced manufacturing, as well as the best-in-class technology coming in. What we have done in the past few years is, one is to have product lines, which is small arms ammunition, the advanced UAVs and counter UAVs. But what we have done in manufacturing is that we have divided the whole field, what we are talking today, into 3 parts. One is digitize and automation of manufacturing. How do we make sure that every sector or every part of our manufacturing is not giving us or conventional manufacturing, but it goes into digitization and has the maximum automation which is required for the best-in-class product to come out. The second part is bringing in the advanced manufacturing and technologies like additive manufacturing or manufacturing capability, where speed of manufacturing increases. So say, for example, a particular product which was being made in 30 minutes. Today, we are bringing in the best in capability to manufacture in 8 minutes. Sometimes the new ammunition line which we are looking at, which was being done in 30 minutes, the same thing can be manufactured in 8 seconds. So that kind of equipment which comes in, just not look at the quality aspect of it, but looks at the speed at which you manufacture, first time right, and the speed of delivery with the cost. So say, for example, if you're doing it at 30 minutes, and today, if you're doing it in 8 seconds or 30 seconds, the capex may be higher, but the per piece cost reduces. So that helps you to move ahead with it. And then moving ahead with digitization, automation, advanced manufacturing to Industry 4.0. Now, Industry 4.0, like Colonel Kuber when introduced, is basically talking about data, where you are looking at data in all respect, which helps you not just in quality, but in maintainability, where you can preempt the breakage of machines, breakage of tools, breakage of the process at any moment of time, because you're collecting enough data, which is with artificial intelligence, you can analyze it, and you can actually go down to traceability of the fault, and before the fault occurs, you can fix it. And which we are using today, not just in our manufacturing. I'll just give you an example in our solar. Sitting in Ahmedabad, we have a team of people, specialists, which are sitting at, we have, acres and acres of solar fields. You can actually pinpoint, go down to a solar cell, and you can find out why that solar cell is not working, how it can be fixed and good. So we are taking, as I said, we are taking digitization, data collection from solar to that level, to going out to manufacturing, where every level the data is going to come out, and you can take into account and look at quality, you can look at maintainability, you can look at traceability, you can do it first time delivery, you can, every accessibility comes in your palms, where you can actually monitor it and do it. So dividing the whole thing and saying, okay, we will have digitization and automation in our manufacturing, which is getting the best in class equipment, moving into best in class technology, which says that how can we make the product faster? How can we actually give it in the right period of time? And then going into manufacturing 4.8, collecting the data and bringing it at one platform so that you can actually monitor and correct it. So what are we looking as output for all of it? So you do all of it. What are you looking for? You see, in defense manufacturing, the most important piece is not to make the right product and give it to the customer. You have to make the product, give it, which consistently provides the same quality. It gives you the reliability that the soldier or our forces, when they actually use it, can rely on it and live with it. That, it's not going to fail me. And has the repeatability to deliver the same quality. So it's not that for the first few pieces or the first few years it gives you, but it gives you at the end of life, which is say 15 years of a life, gives you the same repeatability or reliability in the product. So that is what we are looking at. Normally in defense manufacturing, the way we analyze it, it's the highest level of manufacturing, because if a doctor fails once, for a doctor, he may be 6 sigma. He is doing 0.0034 failures in a million opportunities. But for the patient, he fails once. We are going down to that level and saying, if a product of ours fails in the field, when a soldier or if a forces are using it, that particular failure is going to cost life. So in an automotive industry where you would want to get in the best of class manufacturing, the liability is a particular value, but in this it's life. So it's like healthcare manufacturing, where a particular product cannot fail. Similarly, in defense manufacturing, not just aircrafts, obviously aircraft fails, it's a failure, but every single product of ours, be it a small ammunition, which does not fire at the right moment of time, it could cause a life and death situation. So that is the way we look at defense and aerospace manufacturing, and we are not compromising in each one of them. We are going and working from digitization to manufacturing 4.0 and implementing it. So when we bring in the ammunition plant, which is going to be producing 100 million rounds, it comes with manufacturing 4.0 built in, which means data collection at every moment of time. at our level, at our leadership level, at our level, when we look at manufacturing, getting into defense aerospace, though we are new, but it is like healthcare manufacturing. And I would leave it there and say, when we do this, we expect similar with MSMEs and MSMEs. We don't expect them to be at that level, but we support them to come up to that level to be able to provide the parts which it is. So we are looking at not just we are looking at an ecosystem which will be able to deliver the best in class to our forces. Thank you.
Ashok, thank you very much. You actually answered the question that Mr. Subramaniam raised some time back, whether these companies will mentor us at all. And here is Adani Group, which is standing in front and saying, yes, of course, we'll mentor. We are going to stand with them and we are going to take them forward. You talked about digitization, manufacturing, and reducing the time from 30 minutes to 8 minutes. And I was told by my colleague, Commander Ajay Panwar, he visited this Hero factory in Gurgaon. And I believe they assemble an entire motorcycle in 20 seconds. And that's because of this entire 4.0 adoption in the factory. Did he say 20 seconds or 30 seconds? Doesn't matter, maybe 10 seconds here and there. But that's the time in which an entire motorcycle can be assembled. You talked about the capex versus the per piece cost. I think that's a very, very interesting point that you brought about. And there comes the advantage of adapting to 4.0. So industries that are thinking that they are going to invest money in going to 4.0, they should remember this, that it's going to be per piece cost that's going to reduce, and therefore the profitability is going to be very, very high. You talked about data, and you talked about the quality, maintainability, traceability, and your solar cell where you can easily pinpoint in the huge farm. I was thinking, is there a possibility that we can use 4.0 to pinpoint faults in the DAP? I mean, it just occurred to me while you were talking, because I do not know in the entire melee of the DAP trials, this, that, I mean, I don't know, and why programs get delayed. If we can use something like an Industry 4.0 or DAP 4.0 to fix that, that will be very good. It'll make it faster. It'll be right at the point in time. We talked about consistency, reliability. And I was very happy that we connected with what Partha said some time ago, a good doctor, and you talked about a good soldier. And when a doctor fails, I think there is one patient, whatever 0.014%, whatever it is, but there is one patient. When a soldier fails, it is a number of lives that are getting lost. So, I mean, I can give you a very live example from Kupwada, when one of my friends was there, and he pressed the trigger onto a militant and it didn't fire, and the militant got the better of him. And well, it was a question of fist fight and power and determination that he actually overpowered the militant, and of course he was awarded the Sena Medal for that. That's a different issue, but yes. You talked about the when you do hundreds of millions of rounds and you're going to it's going to be 4.0 ready. I was wondering whether our ordnance factories are anywhere near 4.0 at that point in time. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was a very, very good rendition by Ashok Padam. Adani is entering with a bang in the defense sector. I have heard of soldierly scholars. We had one talking some time back, which is Partha. I've not heard of sailorly scholars. I don't know whether they call them sailorly scholars. Well, here is my very dear friend, a Captain Vikram Mahajan, who's been in the Indian Navy and who's been a scholar of sorts, besides being a wonderful sailor. And he has been in the forefront of the entire procurement process. He was leading from the headquarter IDS side, and I know the amount of initiatives they took in those days in bringing about a lot of transformation in the entire thing. He writes, he has written a number of articles, recently a number of them on Indo-US relationships, and he is a person with a thinking hat. Over to you, Vikram.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the kind introduction. So this topic, I'll be very frank, was a little confusing for me. I didn't know whether to talk about addressing gaps in defense production. Should I talk about Industry 4.0 or additive manufacturing? Well, I think there's enough being said on 4.0 and additive manufacturing. And so I think I'll just stick to my core topic of addressing gaps in defense production, because by the end ETC, I'm guessing that was just an example at the title of it. So And I think if we want to talk about gaps in any field, I think we need to be a little more candid. And I'll do it slightly differently this time, and I will do it with an example. So I'm not going to there are millions of gaps that we can talk about, but I'll just stick to 3 gaps, and I will give example of a country which is not US and which is South Korea. And why I will give example of South Korea is because South Korea is quite like India, wherein it's surrounded by water and it has got an unfriendly neighbor. It's same as India. The only slight difference being that South Korea is the size of 1/3 of the state of Maharashtra. So coming to the gaps, I think I'll start with as Kuber sir mentioned about the procurement process. I think the first issue that I would like to bring out is that, if we really want to address the gap in defense production, I think we need to delineate 2 things very clearly. One is the capability building of the armed forces, and second is the Atmanirbhar Bharat. And one should not be incumbent upon the other. And I think if we read the para 24 of chapter 2, it very clearly brings out that that the process is so designed that in case an item is not ready, you should not you should stick the entire categorization has been built in a manner to cater for the timeline so that the capability is not compromised. Now, if you look at South Korea, what is South Korea doing towards this? The example that I can give you is that for the budget of 2022 for South Korea, they have earmarked projects that in this budget, we will be buying this, which is a very sensible and smart thing to do. We are a little away from that doing the same thing in India. One of the items in the budget is F-35s. And this is when they have a prototype ready to fly this year. A 5th gen fighter, which is KF-21, which is ready to fly this year. They are still going ahead because they do not want to compromise capability building with the indigenous procurement or prioritization of domestic production. That is the first point. Second point, I'm just sticking to the topic because I think we are a little webinar should have got over by 5 and it's already 5. So at the second point I want to bring out, I remember Mr. Dwivedi was there in the last webinar that we spoke together a couple of months ago, Dr. Dwivedi, sorry, and he did mention, how DRDO could do with a little more budget. So coming to budget, frankly, I got an email today. It's been 10 days and we have threadbare, studied budget. But one thing that catches my eye every time is how much budget is allocated for R&D. This has been spoken before, and I would just like to bring out that even this time the R&D budget was just about making it to the inflation, and even there it has been split. 25% has been earmarked for academia and startups and the private sector, which is wonderful. I'm not saying that's bad, but I just want to compare. When we talk of comparison, if you look at South Korea, which has got the budget of 2/3 the budget of India, there's 71, they're about 44 thereabouts. Their defense budget is $4 billion plus, which is 3 times more than the defense budget of India. I think we need to realize that indigenization, if we seriously need to do indigenize, if we seriously need to make in India, we need to seriously start spending more on investing more in R&D, and we need to start, start doing away with, it's not going to happen by adding a new categorization in the DPP or removing a categorization. I think you need to seriously start investing more in R&D. That is my second point. And the third point that I want to make is just about 10 days ago, it was there in the front of every newspaper, was the fact that we are selling $360 million worth of BrahMos missile system to Philippines. Everybody was lauding it. And there is another missile system that I would like to talk about is the I'm forgetting the Israeli JV, which we have, the LRSAM system, which has been installed in the Kolkata class. So Barak 8, sorry. So I think if you look at both these systems, Barak 8 has already been exported to one country. There are 6 other countries which are interested in buying Barak 8. I think if we take a step back and look at the success stories that we've had vis-a-vis not such successful products that we made, I think we seriously need to start looking at JVs. We need to start looking at collaborations, not just with countries, but with companies. And towards that, the live example that I can give, as I was talking about South Korea, the KF-21. KF-21 is a collaboration between Indonesia and Korea. And they have tied up with Lockheed Martin. And why Lockheed Martin? Because Lockheed Martin, there is a lot of offset which is there. And towards the offset, Lockheed Martin is helping them build the KF-21. Now, how is this beneficial overall? I think any JV benefits primarily with 3. There are a lot of benefits, but the 3 primary benefits that happens with JV is, firstly, you get good technology, advanced technology. Second is you are not reinventing the wheel. You're not making mistakes and learning from them. You're already learning from mistakes that have already been made. And third, and the very big factor is the timeline. And you really save a lot of time if you have collaborations. We have offers, and I can give you not just South Korea. There are other companies. The two aircraft that cleared the MMRCA 1 was the the Eurofighter and the Rafale. And as of today, they both are looking at a 6th-gen fighter. The UK is looking at making Tempest, and France is looking at making FCAS, but they are not doing it alone. UK is doing it along with Sweden and Italy, and France, despite having made Rafale, is doing it with Spain and Germany. So I think there are lessons to be learned here, that how JVs are important, and we need to, going forward, we need to, look at that, look at forming JVs. Now, coming back to where I come from, that is US India, I cannot not mention it. So just towards closing, I think we have a very strong relationship between US and India. We have done amazing work towards the collaboration that we've had in military strategically, and we've had great platforms which we've got from US. But going forward towards Make in India, I think what we really need to push forward is we've had a DDTI which has been 10 years in the making. We have signed one project. We need to push that, get more projects towards co-production, co-development. And there is an ISA which has been signed, but which is being formulated. Last year, we heard Mr. Vajpayee at one of the seminars talking as to how we can go ahead with formalizing it so that better transfer of technology can take place through ISA. And all this will actually broadly help in the core aim of enhancing defense manufacturing in India. That's all from me, sir. Back to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Vikram. In fact, we heard Partha talking about the good doctor. We heard Ashok talking about the good soldier, and you are a good sailor. So I think we are, and a very scholarly sailor. And when you talked about the Para 24 of the DPP, and then I see, on one side we have a DPP, we have an RFI, AON, RFP, trials, this, that. And one fine day, Modi says, I'm canceling 90 programs because we don't like this. And, all those 4 years, 5 years of effort has gone in one shot. It is in the air. And I mean, I do not know I'm sure there is a lot of wisdom behind such a decision, but I will leave it there without creating more controversies over that. But the point is capabilities of the Indian Armed Forces, what you talked about. And I think that's important. Atmanirbhar is a great story. Capabilities of the Indian Armed Forces are very, very paramount, and they both have to meet. It cannot be parallel lines. And therefore, I think that meeting point is something that we have got to decide and find out where it is. And how South Korea does, I think that's a very wonderful thing you talked about. Instead of saying, I'll give you 68%, they said, I'll give you 68 programs. I think that's a very nice thing. So if I can do 68 programs this year, so the industry knows these are the 68 programs, no matter what the cost. and the government knows, the armed forces know that 69th program is not coming in. They are prepared for that. The industry knows, they are prepared for that. People like Subramaniam who go and pay 100% advance to raw material suppliers, he's prepared for that. He knows for 68 programs I can pay. He knows that he'll get only 10%, 15% advance from these big guys. He will suffer that as MSME. But yes, but then there is a predictor. You talked about that entire digitization. We are talking about 4.0 digitization. So you can predict and book your loss and also book your profits. You talked about BrahMos, it's a great example. You talked about Barricade, a fantastic example. You talked about JVs, but then I must tell you there are 47 JVs today in the defense sector. I do not know how many of them are actually successful. I do not know if JV as a concept is a successful model, or we should look at successful JVs and see how they have done and therefore do it accordingly. But there are some very collaborative models that are coming up in the market, like we talked about AOP, where there are these large companies who can integrate the capabilities within the ecosystem and project themselves forward to the MOD. And I think these models also we have to look at their consortium approach, where the concept of AOP will come in, and I think that's very good. DTTI you talked about, and I think I don't know, a lot of noise has been made over the years, but just one program has been signed. Well, it doesn't speak very great about the program, but I think yes, we need to put in more effort. I know you've written on that. I know you've written on the Indo-US relationships and how we can take it forward. I think this is the time to do it. Very good example you gave of UK collaborating with Sweden and Italy, France collaborating with Spain and Germany. I think Atmanirbhar also means collaboration, collaborative Nirbharata. So we have to depend. Interdependence is probably more important than independence. And interdependence creates friendships, interdependence creates relationships, interdependence creates power. And I think that's a very, very valid point you bring about, and it set me thinking. Thank you, Sailorly Scholar. Thank you for that. And ladies and gentlemen, we have today to give you the special address, the chairman of one of the largest DPSUs, a DPSU which actually makes all these things we have talked about, these missiles, ATGMs. If you want to talk about a company which is formidable in the South Asian region, and which actually integrates a lot of technologies, which integrates a lot of skill, which integrates a lot of effort in putting all those, a DRDO will go and will create a test, and they say on Chandipur we did this, on that we did that, but somebody has to realize that in production, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is Bharat Dynamics. And I have great pleasure in inviting Commodore Siddharth Mishra, who's the chairman and managing director, Bharat Dynamics. Over to you, Commodore.
Thank you very much, Colonel Kuber. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. As you have been listening on Industry 4.0, and we know that since the Industrial Revolution started, that started in the first one was in 1780 with mechanization, and the second one was in 1870, around 1870 with electrification. And the third one was with the automation. But the fourth industrial revolution, that is, we call
I'm not able to hear. Sorry, I'm not able to hear properly. Probably, I think there is some audio problem has occurred from your side. Suddenly the voice has gone.
We can hear him.
Gone.
We can hear him. We all can hear him.
We all can hear him. Can you hear me now?
No, it's a very feeble voice coming. Because somehow you people could not connect me on desktop or laptop, so that's why I'm on my mobile.
Okay.
But suddenly the voice has gone. I'm not able to hear Mishra, sir.
Now, can you hear me? I don't know.
Sir,
little bit.
Your voice is important for DRDO. Your voice is very important for DRDO because they can do a test. You have to realize it in production. So please, somehow convey it to DRDO.
I have to ensure that DRDO listens to me.
Absolutely.
Yes. So I don't know what is the technical hitch, but should I continue? I think he has got a data issue.
So you please continue, sir.
Okay. So as I was talking, that Industrial 4.0 has started from 2011 onwards. Now just see, the first industrial revolution, second and third, came after almost 100 years. Whereas Industry 4 has come soon after, around 50 years, half the time it has taken. That means the pace of technological development which is taking is enormous, and it is good that we are in that era when we are doing the manufacturing. And as Mr. Bajpayee in his opening address brought out, that Government of India and Ministry of Defense has a big steep target of 1.7 lakh crores for defense manufacturing. Now, to achieve this, we have to ensure a very innovative solution and a technological upgradation of the existing manufacturing facilities. As you all know, and as told by Colonel Kuber, that Bharat Dynamics Limited is manufacturing all types of missile systems, all types of underwater weapons, and countermeasure dispensing systems. And most of these weapons are single shot device. The type of the quality which is required has to be more than 6 Sigma, because we cannot afford that any missile fired by a soldier does not hit the target. So we already have a legacy manufacturing system which has been working since last 50 years. The production and assembly lines have been well established, and this is to meet the present single shot device manufacturing. But in the line with advancement in production related technologies, BDL has been upgrading our and enhancing our productivity rate by getting new technologies, new types of machines. But today, BDL has the best of its class machine for manufacturing and equipment for testing to meet the highest quality standards. In this pursuit of continual upgradation of the facilities, BDL has also commenced the activities for implementation of Industry 4.0. In fact, if you had visited in Lucknow in DefExpo, last DefExpo, we showed one pilot project to our Prime Minister in our India Pavilion, where we showed how we are integrating our manufacturing facility with the QA agency, so that the QA process cuts down. And actually, this pilot project has been established, and now we are already I think we have already tendered out for implementing the entire thing in all our facilities. Means in our Bhanur facility for ATGMs, for Astra manufacturing we are going to include, because in Astra most of the things we will be integrating. A major part will be manufactured by MSMEs, and we will be getting those items, and we will be integrating in our facility. So for integration part, we are going to include Industry 4.0. As you are aware that smart manufacturing is synonymously used with 4.0. It's a broad concept, not something that can be implemented in the production process directly. It is a combination of various technologies and solutions which are collectively implemented in a manufacturing ecosystem. These enabling technologies and solutions will help in optimizing the entire manufacturing process and increase the overall profitability. See, till now, what used to happen that PSUs were not very interested in profit making. They were only working for the national cause. Whereas now things have changed. We are under tremendous pressure for profitability, for improving quality, for we have become competitive. There are private industries who have been allowed to enter into the missile manufacturing. So our cost has to come down. And actually, to adapt to this type of culture, Industry 4.0 will be very beneficial for a industry like DefExpo Limited. And actually, if you see which are the technology enablers for this smart manufacturing, as you know that IoT, big data analytic, adaptive manufacturing, or that is additive manufacturing, that is 3D printing, then augmented reality is one of the very important part for designing of the components. To overall, out of this is the biggest challenge which is there is the cyber security, and machine learning is there and blockchain is there. So what I personally feel that the gap which is identified in adoption of smart manufacturing or implementation of Industry 4.0 in India's defense manufacturing ecosystem, first is the high cost or physical or digital technical infrastructure. See, everyone does not think, as has been told by previous speakers, that the capex versus the cost of a component. Everyone doesn't see that. We do not have that sort of funding or that sort of money available for implementation of this Industry 4.0 because the cost is not very less. It is pretty high. Then the cyber security is another thing. For example, for equipment that we manufacture, the nature of the product is such that we have to have an air gap between the intranet and internet. So for implementation of this Industry 4.0 becomes a big challenge, because if I have to connect the entire ecosystem, for example, if I have to connect the MSMEs, if I have to connect the other industries online, it will be very difficult for us to do that. But we are working with the industries who are into this, like Siemens, then L&T, and there are other companies who are working in Industry 4.0, and they have given us a solution. So that will be a big gap. Then also a leadership skill gap. It's very essential. Like senior people at our level, we were not very adaptive to get into this Industry 4.0. But frankly speaking, I personally attended few seminars, and I went and saw few places where this Industry 4.0 has been implemented, and I was very impressed. And I ensured that we start getting implementation of Industry 4.0 in our facility. Then also the training, especially the vocational training, is a big gap for implementation of Industry 4.0. Then standards and interoperability in the interconnected ecosystem, as I had already brought out, that it is very difficult for security systems to become interconnected between various industries. Then data control and ownership as suppliers and manufacturers become increasingly intertwined. And lack of research and specialist staff, this is another gap. Then suppliers of mechatronic systems and machineries, right now we have limited suppliers for this, and also a weak network infrastructure. Though it is, as you have seen, that we have a good network, but still we require, if we have to work seamlessly, then we should have a 5G, so that the type of speed which we require to adapt to Industry 4.0 is available. And what I personally feel, what are the challenges for Industry 4.0 is the first thing is the skill challenge. Presuming that complete automation is not the realistic view, looking at the companies like us, which are already have a well-defined legacy manufacturing lines. But we can say that one of the benefits of Industry 4.0 in our type of manufacturing is that it will be increasing productivity through a mix of physical as well as digital assistance. But I'm very confident that our manpower with sufficient training will be able to adopt to the skills required for implementation of Industry 4.0. I must tell you that the type of skill which a PSU worker has, nobody can have that sort of skill level. And because why I'm telling that, we have been manufacturing since last 50 years. The type of complex, you can say it's a rocket science, and our guys are working into that. So our skill level is very high, but presently they are not trained enough to take on the Industry 4.0 type of manufacturing. But I'm sure with the type of training which is required, we will be able to do that. And second one is the biggest thing is manufacturing challenges. The manufacturing challenges, you can say that some key challenges in the manufacturing is after realization of Industry 4.0, the lack of a clear digital vision is one of the most important thing. Then fostering of a strong digital culture. See, till now, most of the things we have been handling with pen and paper. Whenever our DGQA staff comes, we have got a big form which is filled manually. He keeps it, strongs it. When it goes for eye noting, a big bundle of papers go, they check, and then finally eye note is given. Whereas this will help us in doing this, but it will take some time to adopt to this type of culture. But I'm sure we will be able to handle this type of challenges. And the benefits which we are going to get by having this Industry 4.0 will be the lower cost of manufacturing. There's no doubt about it that when we are able to check that which all components have crossed the tolerance, whether this part will fit into the next part which is going to be assembled, and that sort of a thing. Whereas in previous in a legacy system, what happens that in case a lot is not, which has been not fitting into other parts, they are rejected. Whereas by using this type of technology, we will be able to use such parts also within the ambit of our standards. And also this is going to have additional revenue. It will also optimize the customer relationship. We'll have a clarity on the status of production system in real time. This is the biggest challenge in PSU, that our production, our planning, and our supply chain does not have a very seamless integration. And that is why the present delays. I'm telling you very openly that this is the major part. But if we are able to adopt both this as well as SAP or ERP system, we will be able to overcome this type of a problem. Also, there will be a very good transparency in production processes. As many of our previous speakers who are working in the production, our private sector industries, MSMEs, they will understand that in the production process, how it is important that the entire thing is very transparent. And also this will help in reduce inventories. By reducing inventory, certainly we will be having good, we'll be having a better revenues and improvements in the health and safety of the workers. This is also a very important thing, that in case we are able to predict the health of the machine on which our workers are working, so we will be able to reduce any accident in our machines. And also maintenance process will be standardized. Energy efficiency of environmental sustained production system will be available, and effective use of human and material resources. So these are the various improvements and these are the various benefits of adopting industry. And the biggest benefit will be the 100% traceability in production and quality process. Even now, for all the missile system, we have 100% traceability, but when it is online, the traceability will be much faster, and we will be able to find out ways and means and how to improve. And specifically when a defect happens, we will be able to trace back very quickly what was the reason for this defect. So at the end, what I feel personally, and what I recommend is that a growing technically savvy labor and low cost manufacturing need to be built up on for having a big target of defense manufacturing in India. It is very essential that we create this sort of a industry 4.0 revolution, not only in the PSU, but in entire MSMEs, entire big industries, so that we are able to get the target of 1.75 lakh crore defense manufacturing in India by 2024-25. And as it was brought out by Mr. Bajpayee, the government is also supporting to create a suitable ecosystem for creation of this roadmap for implementation of Industry 4.0. And also they are establishing test labs entire countrywide to advance this smart manufacturing process. With this, I conclude. Thank you very much, and Jai.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Commodore Siddharth Mishra, I think you brought out very good points. And I must tell you that DPEPP also says that the government will encourage DPSUs to adopt 4.0, which was formulated at least 3 or 4 years ago. I do not know what is the state of DPSUs today in terms of 4.0. And I still feel that it is a process of continuous evolving process, which I think is the way to go about. You talked about highest quality standards where you can almost eliminate a quality check by the best in class machines. I think that's a very good step. And where you cut down the QA, and then you also tended out to improve your facilities at Banur, Astra, and all that. I think that's very good. You touched on cybersecurity, and I think that's very, very important, because if I were to hack into your system, and if I want to, play around with your data, I can actually send the missile somewhere else when it actually fires. And therefore, I think that's a very important point you made. And I'm so happy that we are conscious of these aspects while we make such missiles. So when you talked about the supply chain and all that, I was thinking in terms of establishment of an information highway, which would be between the OEM and the supply chain. Like for yourself, you got in your backyard, you got companies like WEM who are doing excellent job today. And if you have a good secure information highway, in fact, you can even correct what is coming from them to you, or vice versa between your suppliers. Even before it actually reaches you, you're having it first time right. And I think you talked about it in terms of how you want to get it first time right. You talked about the leadership, how the leadership is, was thinking in terms of, then I was getting reminded of how we used to do in the MOD. We wanted to go digital and everybody sends an email. He said, yaar, pehle jo hai, email ka printout leke aao mere paas. So, I mean, that's the level to which we are at as leaders. I think we are setting very wrong standards over there. And I think that's very important. If we want to work on email, we should work on email. We should get approvals on email. That iNote concept should go. And I think you talked about it, and that's very good, the pen and paper. Then, it's very easy to criticize somebody in the US because it's a great democracy. They don't take offense. So I can tell you this US general, was working late in the office one day and in Pentagon, and he was, it was almost late in the evening, and he was probably alone. The rest have already left for a weekend. So he was holding a paper in his hand, and there was a youngster who walked by and he saluted the general. Good evening, general. He said, youngster, do you know how to operate this machine? He said, yes, I can do that. So he says, here is the paper. He gave him the paper. That boy put the paper into that and he walked off. It was a shredder. He wanted a photocopier. So that's the level of digital revolution and digital things which our senior leadership has. And I think we have to really learn to use things. And I think you did talk about traceability. That's very important. You talked about energy efficiency. Greta will be very happy to hear that. Well, very, very good address, sir. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, last but not the least, but here is the most favorite talk for the evening, I would say, because normally what happens in this country, DRDO keeps on speaking. DRDO says, we have developed this technology. We can develop that. We are doing the AMCA. We need so many thousand crores. Nobody listens to them. Nobody listens. And today I was very happy that when the industry was speaking, DRDO could not listen. But the important part over there was DRDO wanted to listen. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think that is the crux of the whole system. We should listen to each other. We should actually understand what others are saying. Only when you understand the problem, you can come out with a solution. And that was demonstrated very, very aptly by Dr. Mayank Trivedi, who is the director of the DIITM. I really love the fourth floor. It's such a friendly floor in DRDO. You can just walk, and from each door to door, the culture is the same. The attitude is the same. The attitude is one of how to help the industry. How can I handle them? What can I do more? Please tell me. And here I am. So, Dr. Mayank Dwivedi, the whole industry has been talking about this 4.0 and all that. And here is DRDO, which is to set the standards. And like, Lord Krishna says, Yadyata charati sreshtah sasta deve sarojana sayad pramanam kurute lokasta anuvartate. So whoever sets, the leaders should set the standards. Yadyata charati sreshtha. If leader sets the standard, the industry will follow. And I think I'm talking in terms of a design versus a production, the relationship. And that's where let's see as to with the type of enthusiasm that you have and the way DRDO is going forward, and I'm sure your talk is going to enlighten us to make it a very refreshing evening. Dr. Mayank Dwivedi, all yours.
Thank you very much. Basically, still I'm not able to hear you properly. Reason being, today I am operating from my mobile phone because there was some from the SOCM side. They could not connect me through my computer or my laptop. Nevertheless, through my mobile phone, I am delivering a talk. So first of all, Dr. S.C. Kansal, Co-Chairman SOCM National Council on Aerospace and Defense, and of course, Chairman SMPP Private Limited, and Commodore Siddharth Mishra, CMD BDL, Colonel Kuber, and for his nice introduction and the way he's comparing the program, my industry partners and SOCM officials, ladies and gentlemen, very good evening to you all. I know I'm the last speaker, and now it has to be, the conference has to be finished now fast, so I will not take much time. But yes, I will say a few things because as a R&D perspective, and as I feel as a scientist and as a director industry interface, what is happening and where are the gaps and how to fulfill them. The number one, I would like to tell you that the way the government of India, DRDO, MOD, all put together, putting up the policies, new guidelines, etc., we are trying to minimize the gaps in the production as much as possible. And we are trying to dovetail many of such policies with the government of India basic thinking so that the industries are getting benefited further and further. And you have seen of late that so many things have come up where the start from IDEX, TDF, and Make 1 category, Make 2, etc. So many things have come up. Need not say Make in India, etc. All are old stuff. And we are finding that industry's participation has improved. Today, I can tell you that what it used to be 10 years back, the industry's position, then they were completely at the receiving end. Today, the industries have come up so well that in many areas, the DRDO industries, we are finding that industry is completely complementing DRDO, and that's how the 108 item list by DRDO has been released, because the industries are capable of designing, developing, and manufacturing those products where the R&D efforts and design knowledge of DRDO sometimes not required for those 108 products. So this is the level the industries have come up. But nevertheless, there are certain gaps because this conference is primarily for the gaps. Then how to talk about, how to go about it. Number one, I will tell you, as many speakers were speaking, and I have heard them, that advanced manufacturing technologies still we lack them. Let it be any manufacturing when it comes to advanced thing like underwater laser welding you talk about, or you talk about the fabs, or that all the chip manufacturing facilities, etc. We do very good various design, etc. in India. And many foreign companies are operating, our engineers are working. And finally, for the fabrication of fabs, etc., we go out. So I think we have to focus on those areas, even when we talk about additive technologies and molecular modeling, building, all such things. Again, we have to work on this. And for that, let me tell you, most of the time we find that even we should be open to the collaborations, because collaborations are the ways where we can leapfrog the technologies, and we should not be adverse to them. Rather, wherever possible, we should try to go for more and more collaborations. Second thing, where we find that in our defense production, we are finding problem, and that I am very much privy to because this is an area which is my expertise too. We are lacking in advanced materials. Basically, we have got the ideas, we have got the design capabilities, everything is there, but how to convert our ideas into a product, a viable product? We require material. Materials are the medium to convert our ideas into a product. So advanced materials, again, this is an area where we have to focus on, talk about the technical textiles, bulletproof jacket material, like dynamite is making the ultra high molecular polymer, high molecular weight polyethylene, Kevlar, etc. Anything you talk about, everywhere you will find when it's come to advanced materials, we are lacking. Even there are certain very high quality, high purity, rare earth materials where we have to work on it so that those materials are also made available for our various strategic programs. Then I will tell you that about the test facilities. Today we have got DRDO test facilities, many other institutions like BAR, ISRO, etc. Their test facilities, CSIR test facilities, their enable accredited labs. But apart from that, the type of volume we are handling in India, I think to facilitate industries further, this is one of the gaps where we have to ensure that our test facilities have to be further multiplied. And I think towards that, Department of Defense Production is working on it, and that's how they want to further multiply such test facilities. Yes, of course, the cost is involved, but that we have to see. That is for the larger good of the industries. So we have to look into this area too. Then, when our industries are working as LSI or the big industries working for the major systems and programs, somehow I find some type of inkling is given to me that they are not very comfortable with the industrial ecosystem. Suppose one LSI is working for a big program, and there so happens that there are other SMEs who are, say, 200 number of SMEs or 500 number of SMEs are working for that program to assist them. Those SMEs also DRDO developed a lot of efforts because only those SMEs also put their skin in the game. Their investment is there in terms of manpower, sometimes money also, though we are funding them for the development part. But even though their passion is there, they have invested their time, etc. Keeping that in mind, those SMEs, they are very important supply chain partners in our ecosystem. But sometimes it happens that the LSI feels that whatever the important technologies are there, where they want to control so that they can maximize the profit. I think there should be a situation, at least in India, and I am very sure it is there already in the entire world, Europe and America, I can firmly say about it. But in India also, we have to understand that there should be a situation, live and let live. That's how you multiply your hands. Second thing, that we are able to meet schedules. If every egg is, all the eggs is put in one basket, then there will be a problem. I think our industry should be open, much more open for this ecosystem type of situation. Then another thing is there, which I think Colonel Kuber will 100% agree with me, that our industry's user interface, I find there are certain issues. Of late, it has improved. I will not say there's a problem, but I think the user interface has to improve further. When we are going for any technical trial or user trial or NCNC trial after the GS evaluation, I think a type of interaction, a type of cooperation is required between industry and armed forces or between user. I think that has to be further strengthened so that once your user interface is very strong, then most of your problem of the induction of a product, whatever you have done and whatever modification and others you want to bring in the product, that becomes much easier. It should not happen that this user interface, you feel that is only good with the DPSUs and earlier ordnance factories. I think with the private industries also, usage is quite open. It is, I think, your call. You have to further interact with them and ensure that all the technical problems are resolved with DRDO and other operational problems are resolved with user. Skill development, Commodore Mishra told very nice thing, but yes, skill development is another very important area we have to plug in. But point is, in skill development, right now we have got enough manpower, good quality manpower. Only certain areas where the specialized skills are required, there we have to train. So this is another gap we have to see into it. Finally, I will say today all the policies and ecosystem is there to support industry so that they can come up. Like TDF is going on, IDEX is going on, and the Make 2 industries are being invited, and Make 3 under season, so much indigenization is there. I think there are enough opportunities which were never before. The way Government of India, Ministry of Defense, DRDO all put together, they have provided. And I think industry must make use of it. All those gaps, whatever I have discussed, I think industry is aware of it and we are trying to plug it, fulfill all those requirements. And with that, I am very sure we will be able to provide a good product with quality, with reliability, within time frame, etc. Only two more things. Lastly, I will say we must be very much careful about the documentation, which I always repeat in all my talks. The documentation, if it's strong, then your quality is ensured. That I am finding many times industry are lacking sometimes. And number two, you try to invest in R&D also. Because the R&D investment is not only the money part, basically how to retain the good R&D manpower so that they deliver you on a later date. This is another skill. That type of HR policy you should have. And with that, I think we will be working quite well in our ecosystem. And surely the country will become self-reliant in defense manufacturing and truly Atmanirbhar in truest sense. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Country will become truly Atmanirbhar. I think that's a very, very wonderful statement towards the end of the evening. And that's what everyone is wanting to hear. And coming from DRDO, I think that's that sets the pace for the rest of the evening, because I always feel that the strength is in the design. And only when you know how to design, when the knowledge is in your head and you can modify the design, you can do whatever you want to do. He talked about all the gaps. I'm not going to repeat them. The laser welding, underwater laser welding, fab, advanced materials, he talked about collaborations, which the Sailorly scholar also talked about. And I think that's coming very good between two people who are thinking about it. And I think collaborations should be the way, because collaborations create strength, create friends, create interdependency. Atmanirbhar can make you aloof, whereas interdependency, I think, somewhere is requirement. It should be both ways, not one way. That much, yes. He talked about the gaps in testing, the volumes, and therefore he says about the gaps. I think that's very important. He talked about rare earth materials for strategic programs. He's worried about the strategic programs. The number of them, strategic missiles, we have not even ordered even one. DRDO has gone ahead and tested each one of them while China was, showing muscles over there. DRDO was flexing it in the air, trying to tell them that, we are here. So he talked about the industry ecosystem, the industry user interface. I think that's a very, very valid point that he made. And I think that's where I want to really talk about this information highway, which should be there between the user and the industry, between the prime industry and the supply chain. He talked about various things like TDF, IDEX, Make 2, Make 3. But I think he didn't miss out deliberately, I'm sure. But I think one of the most important things that the industry looks forward is the DCPP, because that shows a lot of promise in terms of getting into larger systems. And that's where DRDO plays a very, very important role. He talked about the importance of documentation that comes automatically in 4.0. because traceability, everything is documented in 4.0, and I think that is very important, and investment in R&D. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a fantastic evening, and I think we had very, very good talks from various people. I just want to give one concluding remark, which I thought I should quote from the World Economic Forum. Most of the global projects have moved to full-scale implementation, and the World Economic Forum estimates that about 70% of the industry that embarked on Industry 4 journey are stuck at the pilot stage. This is what the World Economic Forum says, not I. And the leaders, which includes the lighthouse factory of Tata Steel in Netherlands, and here the focus has been on MTTR and MTBF and maintenance KPIs. This is true for mass manufacturing with focus on sweating out manufacturing lines. Should not be the focus on aerospace and defense, by the way. But the WEF, World Economic Forum, has estimated that predictive maintenance reduces unplanned downtime by 25%. Flexible automation in assembly lines have increased labor productivity by 30%, and digital R&D and engineering have lowered the design iteration cycle by 40%. That's what Dr. Dwivedi also talked about. Ladies and gentlemen, all that I can do is to hand over to our co-chairman of the Defense Committee, Dr. S.C. Kansal, IIT Mumbai, and has got a great company over there, SMPP. And they are embarking on a very larger journey in up north in the hills, where it's cooler than it's in Delhi, but they're going to have a large facility over there. And I think I'll let him do the honors. Sir, all yours.
Before I start, let me address Mr. Anurag Bajpai, who has already left. He had a very, very busy schedule. He addressed us very nicely, and I conveyed my thanks to already. I will not repeat it. I furthermore again thank him again. I thank Mr. Mayank Dwivedi. Kumar, I fully agree with you, the atmosphere and the climate of 4th floor of DRDO. I'll further go ahead with the hospitality of Dr. Mayank Dwivedi. A couple of weeks back, me and my team had visited his office. What a hospitality he showed. What a openness in the discussion he showed it, We have gone for some technology and some issues, and he solved it. He solved it completely and gave a open offer for giving the offer. And also, what a beautiful samosas and hot samosa in this winter he served us. So nice of you. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Thank you for today's evening. Sorry we delayed you from his busy schedule, and you have to wait in the evening, and because of the interruption in the in between. Sorry again for that. Thank you so much, sir. I thank Commander Siddharth Mishra for your wonderful speech, sir, wonderful guidance to the industry, how to increase the profitability, how to decrease the inspection schedule, and getting the I-note issued. Thank you so much, sir. I thank Mr. Vikas Balani from CDB, Ashmita Sethi ji, who has already said the suppliers of engine, Air Force engine and military engine 34% of worldwide they are giving. Mr. I'm all with you with regard to MSMEs. What problem they are facing, I can understand. You told the problem being faced the running unit of MSMEs. There are furthermore problem for any new entrant to come to MSME. MSME guy cannot enter. It is very, very difficult for a guy to come. You have to first install you have to get a CV done, the capacity verification done. Then only you can be registered in the. So there are, I fully with all, I will not repeat the problem issue. I only say, yes, there's the problem. 100% payment you have to for the raw material, and for getting payment 45 days, you have to wait, minimum 45 days here, and the raw material supply. Thank you so much. Thank you. I thank Mr. Partha Chaudhary. I thank Mr. Ashok Vadavan from Adani's. Sir, thank you so much. What a wonderful system you have put it. Millions you produce in a month or a day. Sorry, I'm good. Anything which was produced 30 minutes, you are producing in 8 seconds. Fantastic. And the quality, we can imagine what a quality, wonderful quality your company must be making to this. It's a new entrance. Adani is a new entrance to defense. We welcome you, sir. I thank Captain Vikram Mahajan, who is preferring JVs and co-production and co-development. I thank it Commodore Siddharth Mishra ji. Again, I thank you, sir. Thank you for the good lessons you have given to the industry. I thank once more again DS Rajaraji, and thank the whole team of SOCHM for arranging the program. I thank once again. Thank you so much. Jai Hind and good night. Thank you.
And thank you, Colonel Kuber, for this wonderful moderation.
Yeah, wonderful global, who's famous. Sorry, this is globally famous, Colonel Kuber.
Oh, thank you,
global
thank you.
Moderator. Yeah, global. Yeah, that is there. Sorry,
okay, bye.
I forgot that.
Sir,
Without that, it cannot finish within time.
Really?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pata. Bye. See you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you, everyone.